My name is Michelle Harper, and I'm here to talk to you about electric bus feasibility here at the University of Kentucky. The shuttle buses are connected with UK Healthcare as well as the school, so I'm just going to address them as UK or UK schools just because it's easier sake. As far as the introduction goes, there's a growing focus as it relates to transportation and energy use in general to move away from fossil fuels in the university public transportation systems, and as well as a green component to this study as well. But first and foremost, it's more about an economic feasibility, and also we want to look into using 15-passenger vans as well as supplementing the new aged bus fleet with possibly electric buses. So that's what this capstone project is all about. The rationale for this study will be, like I said, the university's aging bus fleet. The buses need to be replaced, and also we're going to be looking into nonprofit funding, whether that's feasible or not feasible and makes sense for the university setting, and as well as timely justification right now with the economy, economics, policy, and politics for non-for-profits to switch over to electric buses, and as well as the cost awareness of this. Okay, so our background is that diesel for decades has been the #1 engine used in transportation, and there are benefits to using diesel. Some of them are that it's economical at first, and it's got a high conservation rate. There's a lot of gas around to use, and it's dependable and somewhat low maintenance. There's also health risks to it too, like pollution and global warming effects. The health impact is that those exposed to high levels of diesel emissions, like heart disease, cancer, and respiratory distress, can further compromise the air as well. Okay, so the general project concept that I have proposed, based on the risk factors, is an increased demand for public transportation in order to find effective ways that will reduce the emissions, and this includes the fleet at University of Kentucky. And for the literature review, I have several case studies that also point out the fact that electric bus conversion would be a feasible way to go, just because there's some real life case studies that go on now in other cities. And we will specifically be looking at that, as well as the definition of electric buses, direct comparison of air pollution from electric and diesel, the costs of electric and diesel, and TARC, which is a business, which is a company that already got approval in Louisville for their electric bus fleet. So defining electric bus technology, electric buses are a growingly popular alternative to traditional gas and diesel bus types, states Rossi from 2016. And he also lets us know that they run on battery cells that are charged via electric parts. They provide benefit of clean power. And electric bus use states that they use solely domestic fuel source, which is regularly credible, thereby sustainable. Disadvantages of electric bus technology is being cut out of commission during their charging time, which UK could do, during the off hours at night, and having fewer total trip hours available, and this results in the need to reschedule routes. Advantages of electric bus technology. Additional advantages provided by the transition to electric buses include improved air quality, reduced emissions, less noise pollution, as BYD states, decreased cost per mile, which I can show you, improved local health and environmental protection. Direct comparison of air pollution in diesel and electric buses, reduction in emissions. Diesel bus generates 1 liter of diesel emits 2.64 kilograms of CO2. An electric bus generates 0. GHG released into the atmosphere is reduced by 0.08 to 1.05 kilograms. Within the context of University of Kentucky, the transition to electric buses would significantly improve campus air quality and safety, in addition to improving overall carbon footprint of campus systems. So some of the case studies to use for electric buses, Milton Keynes' study, where he states that there's a serious issue with arranging time and space for charging, which we've already talked about, but it's ultimately beneficial and funding available from government sources. In Vapuro and McCurla case study, they talk about reduced trip creates challenges, electric is significantly cheaper, and payback on investment is possible. So some other case studies as well, like I've mentioned, BYD and New York Metropolitan Transit Authority had a pilot in 2014 of all electric buses, and this resulted in a cost reduction of 20 cents to 30 cents per mile as compared to the $1.30 per mile for diesel equivalents. This is substantial financial savings, especially over long term, and the break-even point is shorter than that for diesels as a result. Case studies relating to use of buses also continued. Abner's study at Columbia demonstrated these financial savings in great detail. And in conclusion, while the initial cost of purchasing electric buses is substantial, the long-term savings is more than 50%, which is kind of the point that I'm trying to hammer home here with all of you guys, as well as the university and stakeholders, which we'll also talk about. So these 4 areas of purchase price, cost of fuel, cost of maintenance, and related healthcare costs all play a key role. So here, I want to emulate to you the clear understanding of savings, which it really, really does show you how electric versus diesel, like I said, the costs up front are going to be more substantial, but in the long run, you're paying hundreds of thousands less to have an electric bus. And the low maintenance as well for maintaining them is considerably a lot better. So current electric bus use in Kentucky, considering the case of TARC. I gave you a little bit introduction on them, but like I said, they're Louisville's electric bus in public transportation. They got 10 buses with an $11 million federal grant, and they had funding from public sources. These buses were designed to minimize the cost of the rising need for transportation through better sustainable technologies. So the primary objective is, again, to determine the feasibility of the University of Kentucky campus replacing older, soon out of service buses, and potentially even with 15-passenger vans, and also using electric bus technology for the bigger fleets, rather than replacing them the newer version of the existing diesel bus. There are older buses which currently need to be phased out of use. This provides the opportunity to begin moving campus transportation in all electric model. The study will therefore consider economic feasibility of the transition, associated costs, savings, and benefit to cost comparison, as well as use of the 15-passenger vans and looking at other alternative methods like hydrogen and hybrid. And once we assess that, we can effectively find out, what does make sense. So the method I propose to use is going to be a mixed method, and this provides both a statistical support perspective based on analysis and an in-depth understanding of issues and feasibilities. And it also allows for shareholders to be specifically addressed or considered. And it also allows for data based analysis of the return on investment and cost, as well as the qualitative and quantitative studies, which I can also go over with you really quickly. So the quantitative study is going to be collection of the data from TARC, like I said, since they are a real-life local example that we have. And this will also include daily mileage, product cost, cost of fuel, cost of maintenance, fuel economy, product life expectancy, as well as further communication with the planning director of TARC, Ada Kovic. Qualitative method, we will seek to collect information in a way that will be perceived, pursued, and financed at the college in question. Collected via a survey of stakeholders. So there were professional stakeholders as well as students that use public transportation. The same survey will be given to all stakeholders. Some of the professional stakeholders, for example, will be J.J. Housley, the Director of Operations here at the university, Paul Dillon and Stuart Kearns, who are UK Transportation Directors, most importantly. And this survey will be executed via email and phone calls will be used to follow up. Student stakeholders, we will take a survey of about 30 people in 1 week and find out what they, students and employees, what they want and need as well. And the survey will be taken down on paper and written result while waiting at the bus station. So the timeline, major milestones include completion of the proposal, completion of the literature review, collection of this unique data, analysis of data, as well as completing the capstone project. So in conclusion, overall the project shows great promise. It allows exploration of financial means to pay for installing electric buses on campus. It also provides a meaningful overview that has worked and can be applied to justify the current need in transition to electric buses. And electric buses are not only feasible in terms of scheduling logistics, but further economically justifiable. They promote year-over return on investment with a relatively break-even point. Well, a relatively low, early break-even point. Okay, so that's all I have to say for my capstone proposal, and I hope that this interests you, and please stay tuned. Thank you.